Now, welcome back again. I did a video someday, and we were talking about the risk of Tanzania and President Samia Suluhu Hassan losing friends or losing the ground. Losing the people that possibly might wanted to become her friends, but now because of the carelessness, irresponsibility, and because of the mistakes that she's doing around. I was talking about the risk she might and maybe come across of losing these people. And it is when you lose someone who is not very does not have so much impact to the society, or maybe in the country or in Africa, there is no problem and it's not that serious. But it becomes now a problem when you end up losing now the people that maybe they are influential, or maybe they have the love of the people. People, when they speak, other people listen to them. Like, for example, I talked about the president of Namibia. She's a woman, a fellow woman. And right now in Africa, we had two women presidents. We had Samia Suluhu Hassan, which she's the president also. She's still the president. She was announced the president-elect. And we have also Natumbo, the president of Namibia. So these are two presidents, okay? And to some point, we have seen them together. To some point, we've seen the president of Namibia and the president of Tanzania working together, which means maybe they were working together or they were planning to do something together. But now, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, she has destroyed her image. When you talk about Samia, many people begin to think about atrocities. They begin to think about genocide. They think about, corruption and all that. So she has destroyed her image to some point. On the other hand, President of Namibia Natumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, she is creating herself. She is building a certain reputation. When you look at the things she's doing, you are convinced she's really working for her people and she cares about the people more than she cares about herself. Even when you try to look at the speeches that she's having, how she's disqualifying the West, the Western power and the Western influence in the countries of Africa. We've seen her to some point saying that the United States of America citizens will not be allowed to come to Namibia unless unless they have the permission, but no overstaying or no existing in Namibia without permissions and all that. We've lived to know the American citizens existing in our countries, living in African countries, and they come in however they want, they go out however they want. Nobody asks them questions, nobody asks them anything. It has been their nature. Why? Because they feel superior. That because you're an American, you can go to any country, anytime, anyhow, and nobody should ask you a question, as long as it's an African country. But Namibian president said, no, this is Africa, and Africa must have the pride, So before you come, if you are a white person or a foreign person, you must be able to provide your credentials. If you don't have credentials, then you're not allowed. And it became a law. Again, she deported more than 700 white Americans who were living in Namibia illegally. He told them, it is time for you to go home. So they went home and they left Namibia. That is a very good reputation, because now we are claiming the sovereignty of our countries. We want to be independent. We want to do our things. We are taking ownership, We are taking ownership and taking authority. That is what we are trying to do by doing those kind of things. And so she became one amongst the very few leaders who can be able to do that. And so that one tried to define who the kind of a person is. She has been talking about reclaiming the resources and not allowing the resources of Africa to go out without bringing anything in return. She has been talking about and making people know that the resources of Africa belongs to Africa and belongs to Africans. Therefore, nobody should be taking them. They're the largest producers of uranium amongst other countries. And therefore, she said, the uraniums we are producing, these uraniums, we're going to use it to make sure it is benefiting our people. Even when she was in Tanzania, that is what she talked about. Namibia and Tanzania, they are the producers of uranium. And they said, we as the producers of uranium, we want to make sure that this uranium is building our country. A few months later, here is Samia Suluhu Hassan killing the people that they are supposed to be protecting and taking care of. So Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah cannot risk being a president or being a friend of Samia Suluhu Hassan. Why? Because she fears to attach herself to somebody who is destroying her image, somebody who is trying to do to violate the rights of the human rights and all that. So she can't risk. So I said Samia Suluhu Hassan is likely to end up losing the friends or the good friends, the necessary friends that she should be having. She might end up losing them. Now, right now, no leader in Africa or maybe some other leaders in Africa don't want to be seen as they are associating themselves with the leaders who are doing wrong, especially in the countries that are about to hold elections or to have elections. Because number one, the governments in Africa right now, they fear the existing generation, especially the younger generation, the Gen Z. They really fear that generation because the generation has been a nightmare to the government that does not do right. It's been happening. It started all in Kenya, where Gen Z stood against the government. And did you know what happened in Nepal? It was very bad. Nepalese, the Generation Z in Nepal, they turned the government. They overturned the government. They took over the government, and they had to instill their leaders, the leaders they want, into the government. All other leaders who were existing in that government, they threw them away. They burnt their houses down and all that. You see, that is when the anger of people has gotten to a certain point. And therefore, the president of Tanzania will have a very big problem because many African presidents, especially those ones who do not want to be painted, to stain their legacy and all that, will not want to attach themselves with the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan. And that's why I said she will be able to lose Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. She will also be able to lose the president of Botswana, President Duma Boko, because Duma Boko is a friend to the president of Namibia. They work together, they work together, they do a lot of things together, and if she loses the president of Namibia, definitely she's going to lose the president of Botswana, because these two are talking about how we can be able to be independent as African countries, how we can be able to take care of ourselves, how we can be able to build ourselves as African countries, And so they are even connecting, because at some point I've seen Duma Boko with Captain Ibrahim Traore, which means if there is something they are working together, then they will not want to associate themselves with the president of Tanzania, because the president of Tanzania has proven to the people that she doesn't care for the people. Therefore, they admire Captain Traore. Duma Boko, I've seen him admiring Traore so much. Even in many clips he has been speaking about Captain Ibrahim Traore, how Traore is doing things, and he admires doing like Traore. Now, Traore does not want people like Samia Suluhu Hassan. Therefore, if Botswana president wants to continue maintaining the friendship they have with Captain Traore, then it means he has to step away from being a friend to Samia, And Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, because she's a friend to Botswana President Duma Boko, she also has to cut the ties with Samia. So Samia is at a very big and huge risk. That is what I talked about last time. And the most sensitive part is the fact that all of them are members of SADC, Tanzania is a member of SADC, Botswana is a member of SADC, and also Namibia is a member of SADC. Now, SADC held a meeting, and Cyril Ramaphosa was not able to congratulate Samia Suluhu Hassan over the victory they had on the elections,
We gather today, not merely Your Excellencies and Your Majesty, to deliberate on the agenda before us, but to affirm our shared commitment to peace, stability, and prosperity of our region.
But we have other countries that also held elections in this year 2025 who are members of SADC. We have a country like Malawi, they had elections. We also have a country like Seychelles, they also had elections the 16th, and Malawi 12th, if I'm not wrong. So, and elections in their countries went on well. It is only Tanzania that had elections, and look at what just happened, So They were able to be recognized. But now, let's ask ourselves a question. Why is it that Tanzanian president cannot be recognized right now? And when many people talk about some other things, they won't include or involve Samia Suluhu Hassan, because people are now considering Samia Suluhu Hassan as a lawbreaker or somebody who does not care about the people. You know, to some point, I've seen Cyril Ramaphosa also trying to make joke of how Samia Suluhu Hassan rose to power, scoring 97%, 97.5% of the total votes, which were about 32 million votes, you know. And he was trying to make jokes of that, trying to make it look like it is a joke, you know. Remember, South Africa under Cyril Ramaphosa are also members of SADC. You know, they joined SADC and they have been a very influential country in SADC because they are doing a lot of things in SADC. You know, South Africa joined SADC in the year 1994, and shortly after that, after the end of the apartheid and the election of Nelson Mandela as a president. So since then, it has been one of the most influential and economic powerful members of the organization. So they've been there. They've been so consistent in there. They've been influential in there. It often plays a leading role in regional peacemaking, mediation, trade, integration, and infrastructure projects in SADC, you know. So you see a country like that not recognizing Tanzania, you know, it looks like Tanzania is now losing. They are now losing interest in the leadership of Tanzania, and that is how life is going to be difficult, very much difficult with the president of Tanzania, because you need other people for you to be able to do what? To move on and to be able to lead your country. You can't lead a country all by yourself. You see, the president of Tanzania was saying recently during her swearing in that she doesn't need advice from any other person. If you have an advice, you want to tell her anything, or you just go ahead and have your views and perspective towards matters. But you should not, and don't try to interfere with what she's doing or what they are doing. They don't need your advices. As long as the people of the Jakaya Kikwete congratulated his or her victory and all that, she's okay, you know. So this is like trying to say you are all on your own. Now, tell me how you're going to survive, or how you're going to move on, or how you're going to make life easy for you and your country if you don't have good relationship with the country, which is your neighbor, Kenya. Because, see, Samia Suluhu Hassan has been killing Kenyans. Kenyans have been killed in Tanzania. We have a report of a Kenyan who was killed in Tanzania, you know, and she's trying to say that Tanzanians were not the ones who are demonstrating, that it is Kenyans who are demonstrating in Tanzania, and some of them were killed. Even there's a warning that was sent to Kenyans who are working in Tanzania that to be careful and work with their credentials everywhere, with their identities everywhere, to show they're in Tanzania and why are they in Tanzania. Because if a Kenyan was to be found in Tanzania, was to be killed anyhow, you know. And now, this is like destroying relationship between you and the countries that are maybe neighboring you, you know. For example, President Museveni didn't go to the swearing in of Samia Suluhu Hassan. President Ruto did not go. He had to send his deputy, you know. And also in Uganda, the person who was sent was a minister of foreign affairs, something like that. I'm not really sure about that. But the president didn't go. Do you know why? Because Uganda is going to have an elections in January next year, okay? Kenya is going to have an election in 2027. Okay, 12th, if I'm not wrong. Is it 12th of 27 or something there? Now, these countries, there is a say that says in Swahili, cha mwenzako kinyolewa, chako kitie maji. So these people are on the way, you know. Anything they do right now between today and the days of election really matters. And therefore, them associating with Samia Suluhu Hassan would be the last thing they will do from now. It would be the last thing. Why? Because people are watching them. Anytime they try to associate with Samia, people will be asking them, so you know what Samia has been doing, you are the supporters and you're supporting them. Definitely, the chances of them not being re-elected will be very high, you know. So, Samia Suluhu Hassan will lose a lot of people because her being failed to be recognized as a winner or to be to her victory to be like by one of the most influential countries, South Africa. It really sounds and really speaks a lot, really speaks a lot. And again, Tanzania being the member of SADC, SADC itself can come out and say that elections in Tanzania were not free and fair and they did not follow democratic way of elections. This is SADC. SADC is an organization where you are a member, you are part of it, but they have that boldness of coming out and saying elections were not free and fair. You need to be asking yourself a lot of questions. And Tanzania, if it's not very careful, it might even be kicked out of the organization of SADC. It can even be kicked out. It is very easy for Tanzania to be kicked out. And that one sounds. It really sounds a threat to Tanzania. Therefore, what they need to do is to try and find peace with these people within the neighbors and all that. That is if they want to be free. That is if they want to secure the position and become relevant anymore. Right now, the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, is very much irrelevant. I don't know if she wants to pay a visit to any other country in Africa. She will be granted a visit because citizens are watching. Yeah, and people are watching what to do at what time, where to go at what time, what to do at what time, So, Samia Suluhu Hassan, number one, she needs to be very much careful with the decisions she's taking because it might really cost her big time. People who are saving the African country and preaching unity to Africa and trying to talk about good leadership, they are against corruption and all that. They are into not working with the West. They are anti-West. Yeah, they are anti-foreigners. People like those ones can no longer be the friend of Samia. And right now, those are the leaders we are looking up to as young generation. The leaders we want, the leaders we are putting all our focus in. So she's risking losing all these countries, and she's risking also getting out of SADC because you cannot be and you cannot sit in the meetings where every other person does not want you or every other person sees you and looks at you like a fake president or a fake person. So when they look at you as a fake person, you feel guilty every time or anytime you go to these meetings or you engage in these meetings. You feel like, I don't think I'm at the right place, and you might not even be given an opportunity to speak or to do anything, which is very dangerous. So I think what Samia needs to do is to make peace with everybody, to make peace with these people, by doing the right things, by accepting to be held accountable, by accepting to calm down and take care of the people, by stopping everything she's doing and move a step back and start doing things in the right way. Yet already people have been killed and all that, but at the end of the day, what are we gonna do? It has already happened. Now, what she needs to do right now is to grant the people of Tanzania the power to decide and to do what they want or to say what they want. That is the only way she's going to make a good image. But now the question is she the one doing these things, or there is somebody behind her who is doing these things on her behalf? Been talking about Jakaya Kikwete. We are still asking questions about Jakaya Kikwete because she is the one that is working with the international corporations and international organizations on many things. So he is benefiting a lot from Tanzania resources and many other things, and we've had coming across articles, and stories that he is the one behind all the things, atrocities and genocide that are going on in Tanzania. I don't know about that. We're gonna do research and bring you news, at the right time, at the right moment. So tell me what you think in the comment section about this. I really believe and I really think Samia Suluhu Hassan needs to be very careful, because if she doesn't be careful, things that are going to face her are not going to be very easy things. So you tell me what you think on the comment section. That is just my opinion. At the end of the day, I'll do my best to make sure I read all the comments and give a response where possible. Thank you so much for the subscribers who have always been subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate. Don't forget also to subscribe if you're watching me for the first time. Returning subscribers, you're my legends, I really love you and I appreciate you so much. You're my great people, and thank you so much. Okay, I tell you, Africa is home Anything concerning Africa concerns me and you as black people, and we must talk about it. Until next episode, peace be with you.